Hi everyone, how are you doing? In this lecture video, what I would like to talk about is the human person as a moral being. So to start with, let's understand first what is a person. A person is defined as a substance imbued, meaning infused or ingrained with the rational faculties of intellect and free will. It has the activity of knowing and willing. It acts in freedom as as a free being. So when we speak of person, we are not just talking about human person because there are other entities that we consider person, like for example the person of the angel or the person of God. That's why in Christian doctrine we have God in three person. We're speaking of the Trinity. But in the case for our own discussion, we'll talk about the human person. So what is a human person? The human person is an embodied person, which means they operate with the faculties of intellect and free will as we define what person is. So a human being is a human person having the body with all the accompanying lower faculties, functions and operations similar to lower animals, no? And then he has also the rationality, no? As a person, he has a rational soul, no, endowed with the faculties of intellect and free will. So this is what distinct us from the other animals, from the rest of the animal kingdom, because of our intellect and free will. So we have this capacity of reasoning, thinking, searching, knowing, particularly the truth because of our intellect. And we are also capable of doing or willing or choosing and of loving or whatever that is really an exercise of free will because that is part of our being a human person. So what is really our human nature as a human being? We know that nature is that which makes a thing what it is, from which it acts accordingly. It means to say that our action follows nature. The nature of a being can be discovered through its action. So our human action must stem from our human nature. And our human nature must be based from who we are as a human person. So man is a person by reason of his rational soul. And because of this truth, he is a human person by reason of the existence of his human body and human soul. In other words, the human person is an integration of both body and soul, without any one of which he is not a human person. So our actions as a human being must be based on who we are as a human being. That is, a person by reason of his rational soul, which has a body and a soul. So the body and the soul coexist in the human person. That's why we can also say that he is an ensouled body or an embodied spirit. So the body and the soul need each other. So he needs the human body to actually put into order the acts of knowing the truth. So our action must stem from our intellect, which the soul has the resides, no, and that the acts of knowing must be what we will follow in our human actions in that willingness to do what is good as an expression of our human action. What is the relevance of morality and human nature? What is its relationship? It is said that morality perfects human nature. Why? Because there are times that the mind and the will may be clouded and blinded by circumstances that may impair their natural operations. meaning what you think which is good or right do not necessarily conform to what you are going to do. Probably you will do the other way around, and that is the time that the norms of morality comes in order to guide our human action, to better understand what is really good and what is really right. So the norms of morality, determining and distinguishing what is good to be done from what is evil to be avoided, is in harmony with the rational faculties of the intellect and free will, whose operations are to know the truth, do good, and avoid evil. So in this case, the norm of morality, they are the one that perfects our human nature, making us all human beings fully and more human. Because if your actions do not conform to the dictates of right reason, which is actually a result of your intellect, which tend to do what is good, if it runs contrary to this as a human being, then you are not really acting according to your own nature as a human being in its proper disposition as a human being. Okay? Now the question is, can we really consider our being human as a person as a moral being? Well, because man has the innate and natural power to determine and distinguish what is good from what is evil, and even what perfects from what distorts human nature, as aided by the norm of morality, as I have talked about earlier, that the norms of morality is what perfects human nature. So this innate and natural power is guided by the knowledge of truth about the morality of human conduct, which its norms provide. So if man gets to know about it, he upholds his innate power by choosing and opting to do what is good and avoid what is evil. So we are really very uh, powerful in choosing and in opting what is good to do and what is the right thing to do, because we have the capacity of knowing what is good and what is bad. It is unfortunate that even if we know what is good and what is bad in our exercise of freedom, that we sometimes deviate from what is good and from what is evil. Most people, as you observe in our society, that they think that their exercise of freedom is absolute, that they can do whatever they want even if it is evil. So that's why we have these norms of morality to guide us. But as a whole, we know that as a person, we are a moral being. So we just have to be very careful in our exercise of freedom. That's why St. John Paul said that freedom consists not in doing what we like, but in having to do what we ought to do. So we as a human person, as a moral being, we have to exercise our freedom according to the what is good, according to the truth. And in doing so, we are actually living a moral life, and then our dignity as a human person is elevated, and we are our dignity as a human person has been preserved, has been respected. That's why human dignity necessitates living a moral life. So when we embrace we as Christians, if we embrace Jesus and follow his commandments, we are actually living according to our human dignity as a human person. Okay, so that's all for my discussion about this topic. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless everyone.